evening. Let's begin with the webinar. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for being here today and mention that we are recording the session so that those who were not able to attend the webinar will be able to watch it in the future. So my name is Borja Guillen. I am the account manager of the solutions department in Innova. My colleague Carlos Rodriguez is going to deal with the questions and doubts section at the end of the session. So the objective of this session is to introduce our solution in Translate, belonging to our suite in tools, show its functionality through a demo, and explain our site Innova Online, and state why is it essential when setting up and managing our solution. Okay, so now let's provide a brief introduction of our company. Innova is one of the few Microsoft ISV development centers worldwide, and the only one speaking Spanish. We provide services for both finance and operations and Business Central, including our own solutions, which are supported by these ERPs. Our headquarters are established in Castellón, Spain, and our team is formed by more than 30 professionals with over 15 years of experience. As aforementioned, we offer our own solutions, which are divided into suites. One of them is the suite eSign, whose main feature is the digital signature. Within this suite, we may find eSign Facture available for both Business Central and Finance and Operations, and this solution is able to generate and sign digital invoices. Then, on the other hand, we may find eSign ePDF, which is available for Business Central. This solution is able to digitally sign any PDF file. Nonetheless, these solutions will be deeply explained in another webinar. The suite in tools includes in Translate, in Data Manager, in Self-Setup, and in Apps Analyzer. Today we will focus on in Translate, and we will deal with an explanation of the solution, and right after we will proceed with the demo of in Translate. Okay, let's focus now on the explanation of the solution. As you may know, in Translate is able to easily create XLF files in any language available. It also provides a fluent maintenance and update of the translation and possess an automatized service of translation. Let's show you now our website, Innova Online. Let me just display it right here. As I was saying, Innova Online is crucial when setting up and managing the solution. In the main visual interface of the site, you may find all the solutions provided by our company, as you can see here. And if we get in, for example, let's say in Translate in detail, we can see a brief introduction of the solution and a thorough tutorial. Also, all the plans that we are providing right now. It is important to mention that all our solutions can be downloaded at Microsoft Marketplace App Stores, and only by registering our site, you will be able to utilize them. In this very same interface, there's an access to the App Store. So if we get into it, you can see that you can get it easily here. Now, we are going to log in with our real account for you to check what can you expect when downloading this solution. So this one, for example. Okay. Here, this number here is the customer ID, and it is essential since afterwards we will have to introduce it in the setup wizard, and in this very same interface we can also check which solutions we have here, the plans, and if we get into each solution here, we can see the plans we have, the recommended plans. It's all according to the usage of our own solution. And let me just, because it is in Spanish now, you can just change the language here. So it's pretty simple. So let's just get into the demo now. So in previous versions of Navision, we had to use Caption ML to do this translation in different languages. In this updated version, the translation are done using an XLIF file. Therefore, through this XLIF file generated by the system, if we wanted to do a translation in different systems, we should create these files each time with a different language. Our solution is able to do exactly this, but in a quite simpler way. Through the same original file, we will be able to generate the translated ones. So once we have downloaded our solution from AppSource and we have completed the register in our site, the user will have its customer ID, which is going to be necessary when setting up the solution. Thus, the first thing to work on is the configuration of the application. We can come to the setup. Here is setup. And in the Innova Online setup, we will have to, right here, introduce the customer ID so we can start to function. Once this is done, we will need to set up the languages. So we can go to setup, languages. And in this visual interface, the user is able to check the languages that are already set up in the solution. We will need to introduce the ISO code accordingly to the language we want to utilize. So all this, let me just create real quick, for example, the variety of the United States for English. So we will click on new, the code, the name, for example, English, but United States. The language ID. Let me just filter it. The English United States here. And the ISO code. And like this, the language is already set up. Once this configuration is completed, we can start to do the translations. But how does this work? When we own a solution, a XLF file is produced, which is composed by several nodes. These nodes are referencing all the captions, tooltips, or labels of the solution. Therefore, as you can see here, through these captions, tooltips, and labels, a XLIF file is created. If we want to do the translation of this, theoretically, we should copy this file, generate a new one, and modify its target, adding a new node to this translation. Basically, our solution can do all this process automatically. So the first step is to get into the translation, and as you can see here, translate, several actions will be displayed. Among these actions, update captions, here, update captions, load translation file, translate captions, and create translation file should be highlighted because they are really important. So for the demo, let's imagine that we want to generate a translation file for one of our solutions. We don't have a translation done yet, so we are going to use the update captions tool. This tool is going to ask for the language in which we want to do the translation. For example, let's say, Spanish, for example. And now it's going to ask for the base file, the one that the system is going to automatically generate, and when it is imported, this is the base file. Once it is imported, it will create some lines in which we can start to function. The information to be found in this section is nodes, language, the caption, and the translation, which we are going to fill in right now. So to make that demonstration, I'm going to fill in the translation in these gaps. We can do it manually, add list, and we can just add the translation. Okay, let's just wait until it's saved. We are ready now to create a translation file using the functionality right here, create translation file. So it will ask for the language code, again, Spanish. And it's going to ask for the base translation file. So once this file is created, the system will suggest a name according to the name of the solution and also the language we are using right now. So we can save it. And in our application, we can see that the changes are actually saved here. We can check that the new translation is already added. Identificador right here. Nombre, which is name. Mi primer test, equal to my first test, sorry. And also my second test right here. Let me just remove this because I'm going to add another example. So another functionality we can use is, say we already have a solution with its translation, for example, is this case, but we want to do some modifications. Instead of manually doing them here, we can load the translation file like this. Load translation file. When loading it, the system is claiming that if we have any data, it will be erased. Once again, we indicate the language, as you can see here, the language, Spanish. But this time we have to import the translated file. This one here. So the file now is already loaded. And if we want to do any modification, let me just, for example, do this, which is very visual, but for you to see. And now we can create again the translation file. Again, Spanish. And this time the base translation file here. The system will again suggest the name. We can just put the same one. And in our application, we can see that the changes have been done right here. Okay, again, let me just remove the lines. Another modality available is, for example, if we want to select a different language of the aforementioned. The process to follow would be quite similar. I mean, we don't have the translation done for any other language. What we want is to use a completely new language. Therefore, we can use the update captions tool here. We will have to select a new language, say Italian this time. Here, and we import the base translation file here. So once this is done, the system will create new lines for the Italian version, as you can see here. It is necessary that we fulfill these new translations. Through the Actions menu, we can do it automatically by Translate Captions here. Okay, now we have to select the language again, Italian, and the solution name, which is this one. So those lines that are untranslated will be translated accordingly to this translating system. So once it's loaded, the translations have now already been done, and we can generate a translation file in Italian. Here, language code, Italian, and again import the base translation file. Again, it suggests the name, but this time in Italian, as you can see here, and we can save it. And in our application, we can see that a new file has been created with this translation done. The source language, which is English, and the target language, which is Italian, and all the translation done. Okay. Also, in the role center interface, a detailed information about the usage is displayed. For example, the lines that we have in our solution, whether they are translated or not, and the lines per each solution, as we can see here, which are translated and which not. If we get into each of them, you can see all the lines that we have for a given solution. Besides, in info translations, we will be able to select specific lines that should not be translated here, check some developers kind of comments, and specify the amount of characters to utilize in each translation here. I find important to mention that we have updated the solution including new functionalities. The first one is that the solution now allows to upload bigger files, provided we compress these files. For instance, if we own a version number 14 containing, for example, like 10,000 translated lines, and we want to upload a new file, version 15, with 15,000 lines, our solution would keep this 10,000 translated lines and just add the new 5,000 lines. In order to translate the latest line, we can either use the translation captions, the tool, or just do it manually. On the other hand, the other new functionality is that previously in our main interface here, whenever we completed the translation of over 1,000 lines, we could only see the number plus 999, not showing the amount of lines beyond that number. It is not the case anymore. Now, if we surpass this quantity, the system will display the exact amount of translated lines within our system. So basically, overall, overall, this is what our solution is able to do right now. There are further functionalities, but they are defined in the help section. But if you have any additional doubt or concern, you can use now is the time to use the chat to notify them. You can also send them to my email, which you can see right here in this visual interface. And I will be glad to aid you in whatever you find necessary. So you can just now ask your questions. And in the meantime, I find essential to remind you that InTranslate can be freely downloaded at the app source, and it can be installed in a Docker. In our webpage Innova Online, you can find the download link for our solution. I will give you a couple of minutes just to write your doubts. So if you don't have any question, we can finish the session. We hope you found the webinar really useful, and we are looking forward to hearing from you soon. Again, thank you very much and see you next time.